Kahalau Yahu Bahashem, Yahu Shai Bahashem, Kakadash, Jasharala. Okay, let's get with it. Straight to the point. We're going to do chapter 9, chapter 8, 9, and 10. Okay, get ready for 2 Kings. I said that Shumite woman's land restored. The Shumite is the native woman of the, pretty much the Israelites are here, Now, Elijah had said to the woman whose son he had restored, to life, the great awakening of us, get up and go with your household and settle wherever you can, for the Most High has called for a famine, and it will come on the land for 7 years. Yeah, famine of the word, you know what I mean? So the woman got up and did according to the word of the man of the Lord. She went with her household and settled in the land of the Philistines 7 years. Philistines are, hostile people, different culture people, the sea of the world. At the end of the 7 years, when the woman returned from the land of the Philistines, she set out to appeal to the king of her house and her land. Now the king was talking with Gehazi, the vision, the valley of vision, servant of the man of Elohim, saying, tell me all the great things that Elijah has done. While he was telling the king how Elijah had restored a dead person to life, basically the spirit's prophecy, to life, the woman whose son he had restored to life appealed to the king of her house and her land. Gehazi said, my lord, king, here is the woman and here is her son, whom Elijah restored of life. When the king questioned the woman, she told him. So the king appointed an official for her, saying, restore all that was hers, together with all the revenue of the fields from the day that she left the land until now. Basically, the restoration of the 1/3. Death of Ben-Hadad, that's basically a death of worldly religion, people somewhat making noise. Elijah went to Damascus. Well, Damascus means like the main place. You know what I'm saying? Like the Mecca. You know what I'm saying? The melting pot. Now, King Ben-Hadad of Aram was ill. When it was told to him, basically, all the Christians were ill. All the sun worshippers. The man of Elohim has come here. The king said to Hazael. Hazael is Yahweh Aziz. You know what I'm saying? Take a present with you and go to meet the man of Elohim, acquire of the Most High to him, where I shall recover from this illness. So Hazael went to meet him, taking a present with him, all kinds of goods of Damascus, 40 camel loads. When he entered and stood before him, he said, your son, King Ben-Hadad of Aram, has sent me to you, saying, shall I recover from this illness? Elijah said to him, go say to him, you shall certainly recover, but the Most High has shown me that he shall certainly die. You know what I'm saying? Basically, that's, you worldly people that repent, you might, captivity, whatever, you might be saved, but your worldly religions, your beliefs, they're dead, they're done. That's what it means. See? It says he fixed his gaze and stared at him until he was ashamed. Then the man of Elohim wept. Hazael asked, why does my Lord weep? He answered, because I know the evil that you will do to the people of Israel. You will set them, their fortress on fire. You will kill their young men with the sword, dash them in pieces, their little ones, and rip up their pregnant women. Hazael said, what is your servant who is a mere dog that he should do this great thing? That's the all-seeing eye, like the book of Job said, saying that, Hazael, the son devil, he's front and forward, he goes around, he the accuser of our people, basically that's who he is, because he is the father of worldly religions, Now, see, glorified be the Most High for his edification. Now he answered, and he said, what is your servant, right, that dog, right, and he should do this great thing? Elijah answered, the Most High has shown me that you are to be king over Aram. See, and who's the king of the Aramite? The sun, right, the all-seeing eye, the accuser, Then he left Elijah and went to his master Ben-Hadad. He said to him, what did Elijah say to you? And he answered, he told me that you would certainly recover, but the next day he took the bed cover and dipped it in water and spread it over the king's face until he died. And Hazael succeeded him. Okay, now let's proceed. In the fifth, it says Jehoram reigns over Israel. Jehoram means Yahweh exalts. Son of Ahab of Israel. Jehoram, son of King Jehoshaphat of Judah, began to reign. He was 32 years old when he became king, and he reigned 8 years in Jerusalem. He walked in the ways of the kings of Israel, as the house of Ahab had done, for the daughter of Ahab was his wife, the sun-worshipping pagan woman. He did what was evil in the sight of the Most High, yet the Most High will not destroy Judah for the sake of his servant David. See, since since he had promised to give a lamp to him to his descendants forever. That's how it shine. You know what I'm saying? In his days, Edom revolted against the rule of Judah. Always, man, we've always had beef with the Edomites, and set up a king of their own. Then Joram, Joram crossed over to Zaire with all his chariots. He set out by night and attacked the Edomites and the chariots commanders who had surrounded him, but his army fled home. So Edom has been in revolt against the rule of Judah to this day. See, forever, perpetual beef, man. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? To this day. Libnah also revolted at the same time. Now the rest of the acts of Joram and all that he did, are they not written in the books of the annals of the kings of Judah? So Joram slept with his ancestors and was buried with them in the city of David. His son Asaiah succeeded him. Okay. Now let's proceed. Now it says here, in the 20th year of King Joram, son of Ahab, Israel, Ahaziah, son of King Joram of Judah, began to reign. Ahaziah was 22 years old when he began to reign. He reigned 1 year in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Athaliah, a granddaughter of King Omri of Israel, a pagan woman, basically. He also walked in the ways of the house of Ahab, doing what is evil in the sight of the Most High, as the house of Ahab had done, for he was son-in-law to the house of Ahab. Basically, pagan, two-third, coon, wicked, sellout people, He went with Joram, son of Ahab, to wage war against King Hazael of Aram and Ramathaim, where the Aramites wounded Joram. King Joram returned to be healed in Jezebel of the mountains that the Aram had inflicted on him. Basically converted two-thirds of our people. When he fought against the King Hazael of Aram, King Asaiah, son of Joram of Judah, went down to see Joram, son of Ahab, in Jezreel because he was wounded. Okay, now check it out. Chapter 9, anointment of Yahu. Yahu means Yahweh is he. You know what I'm saying? When the prophet Elijah called a member of the company of prophets and said to him, "Gird up your loins, take this flask of oil in your hand, and go to Ramoth Gilead. When you arrive, look therefore at Yahu, son of Jehoshaphat, son of Nimshi. Go in and get him to leave his companions and take him to an inner chamber. Then take the flask of oil, pour it in his head, and say, 'Thus says the Most High, I anoint you King of Israel.' Then open the door and flee and do not linger." Basically, like how they woke us up and got us out of the world. You know what I'm saying? Where niggas speaks wetbacks, Redskins, or whatever, to the world. Now, so the young the young prophet, went to Ramoth again. He arrived while the commanders of the army were in council, and he announced, "I have a message for you, commander. For which one of us?" asked Jehu. "For you, commander." So Jehu got up and went inside. The young man poured out the oil on his head, saying, "Thus says the Most High, Yahweh Elohim of Israel, I anoint you king over the whole people, over the people of the Lord of Israel. You shall strike down the house of your master Ahab, so that I may avenge on Jezebel." See, yeah, Jezebel spirit here in America, the harlot, the blood of my servants, the prophets. Yeah, man, that spirit has been shedding our blood. The blood of my servants and the prophets, and the blood of all the servants of Yahweh Elohim, for the whole house of Ahab shall perish. There you go, man. Two-thirds, bye-bye. I will cut off from Ahab every male bond free in Israel, and I will make the house of Ahab like the house of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, and like the house of Baasha, son of Ahisha. The dogs shall eat Jezebel in the territory of Jezreel, and no one shall bury her. Then he opened the door and fled. Yeah, man. No love for that harlot. When Jehu came back to the master's office, they said to him, "Is everything all right? Why did that median come to you? Why did that madman come to you?" He answered, "Then you know the sort and how they babble. They said, 'Liar, come and tell us.' So he said, 'This is just what he said to me. Thus says Yahweh Elohim, I anoint you king over Israel.' Then hurriedly they all took the cloaks and spread them for him on bare steps, and they blew the trumpets and proclaimed Jehu as king." Basically, the great awakening, and other brothers wake up other brothers. Now says Joram of Israel killed. Thus Jehu, son of Jehoshaphat, son of Nimshi, conspired against Joram. Joram with all the Israel had been on guard at Ramothgilead against King Hazael of Aram. But King Joram had returned to be healed in Jezreel. Basically, sold out, counterfeit, turned his back on the movement, like some of these fake infiltrating agents are trying to do on him when he fought against King Hazael of Aram. So Jehu, if this is your wish, then let no one slip out of the city to go and tell the news in Jezreel. Then Yahu mounted his chariot and went to Jezreel. When Joram was lying ill, King Ahaziah of Judah had come down to visit Joram in Jezreel. The sentinels standing on the tower spied the company of Jehu arrived and said, I see a company. Joram said, take horsemen, send him to meet them, and let him say, it's a peace. So the horsemen went to meet him and said, thus says the king, it's a peace. So Jehu responded, what have you to do with peace? Fall in behind me. The sentinel reported, saying, the messenger reached them, but he is not coming back. Then he sent out a second horseman who came down and said, is there peace? And he answered, what have you to do with me? Fall behind me. Again the sentinel reported, he reached them, but he is not coming back. It looks like the driving of Yahu, son of Nishi, where he drives like a madman. Basically, some people, no matter what you tell them, they're not gonna let go of Babylon or that hard spirit. I said, Joram said, get ready, and they got the chariots ready. The king Joram of Israel and the king Ahaziah of Jehoshaphat, each in his chariot, and they went to meet Jehu. They met him at the property of Naboth the Jezreelite. When Joram saw Jehu, he said, in peace, and he answered, what peace could there be so long as there is many whoredoms and sorceries of your mother Jezebel continue? Yeah, basically they just want peace between the 1/3 and the 2/3 because their mother, their queen right here, the Jezebel spirit. See, sorcery, whoredom of your mother Jezebel continue in the same spirit, the whore of Babylon, these demons. Then Joram reigned and fled, saying to Ahaziah, treason. Ahaziah Jehu drew his bow with him, all his strength, and shot Joram between the shoulders, so that the arrow pierced his heart. Then he sent him in his chariot. So Jehu said to his aide, Bikar, lift him out of and throw him on the plot of ground belonging to Naboth the Jezreelite. For remember, when you and I rode side by side behind his father Ahab, how the Most High uttered this oracle against him. For the blood of Naboth and for the blood of his children that I saw yesterday, says the Most High, I will swear and repay you on this very plot of ground. Now therefore lift him out and throw him on the plot of ground in accordance with the word of the Most High. Salah, hallelujah. Basically, that goes for you, 2/3 wicked queen, Stella Jakes, who helped on. But Jezebel, the slut right here, queen of Babylon, this demonic entity, lead us to the slaughter with false doctrines, exploit us and all that. You're through. You're going to pay for all that. Ahaziah of Judah killed. When King Ahaziah of Judah saw this, he fled in the direction of Bethgan. Jehu pursued him, shoot him also, and they shot him in the chariot at the ascent to Gur, which is by Bilam. Then he fled to Megiddo and died there. His officers carried him in a chariot to Jerusalem and buried him in his tomb with his ancestors in the city of David. In the 11th year of Joram, son of Ahab, Ahaziah began to reign. Now, Jezebel's final death. When Jehu came to Jezreel, Jezebel heard of it. She painted her eyes and adorned her head and looked out the window. Yeah, seduce you, with vices and demons and seduction, sorcery, witchcraft. As Jehu, the harlot. As Jehu entered the gate, she said, is it peace, Simri, murderer of your master? He looked up to the window and said, who is on my side? Who? 2 or 3 eunuchs looked out at him. He said, throw her down. So they threw her down. Some of her blood spattered on the wall and on the horses which trampled her. Then he went in and ate and drank. He said, see that the cursed woman, and buried her, for she is a king's daughter. But when they went to bury her, they found no more of her than just a skull and the feet and the palms of her hands. When they came back and told him, he said, this is the word of Yahweh Elohim, which he spoke by his servant Elijah the Tishbite. In the territory of Jezreel, the dogs shall eat the flesh of Jezebel. The corpse of Jezebel shall be like dung on the field in the territory of Jezebel, so that no one can say, this is Jezebel. This is like America, seeing those 2 or 3 nukes. That's like all these other nations, like China, maybe Russia, and maybe Iran, whoever else, man. They're all gonna gang up and bring her down to the ground, and then the cherries are gonna finish up the job, man. And this place will never be restored again, ever. So let's, say hallelujah. Now let's proceed on the massacre of Ahab's descendants. Basically, 2/3 people are through. Now Ahab had 70 sons in Samaria, so Jehu wrote letters and sent them to Samaria, to the rulers of Jezreel, to the elders, and to the guardians of the sons of Ahab, saying, since your master's sons are with you, and you have at your disposal chariots and horses, 2/3 people banking on Esau, demon ass, devil, sun worshipping devil. a fortified city and weapons. Select the son of your master who is the best qualified. Set him on his father's throne and fight for your master's house. But they were utterly terrified and said, Look, 2 kings could not withstand him. How then could we? So the stewards of the palace and the governors of the city, along with the leaders and the guardians, sent word to Yahu, We are your servants. We will do anything you say. We will not make anyone king. Do whatever you think right. Then he wrote them a second letter saying, If you are on my side, and if you are ready to obey me, take the heads of your master's sons and come to me at Jezreel tomorrow at this time. And the king's sons, 70 persons, were with the leaders of the city who were in charge with their upbringing. When the letter reached them, they took the king's sons and killed them, 70 persons. They put their heads in the basket and sent them to the king of Jezreel. When the messengers came and told him, they brought the heads of the king's sons. He said, Lay them in 2 heaps at the entrance of the gate until the morning. In the morning when he went out, he stood and said to other people, You are innocent. It was I who conspired against my master and killed him, but who struck down all these. Now when that there should fall to the earth nothing of the word of the Most High, which the Most High spoke concerning the house of Ahab. Basically, 2 people are going to just basically throw away their idols, you know what I'm saying? Well, the Most High has done what he has said through his servant Elijah. So Yahu killed all who were left of the house of Ahab in Jezreel, all his leaders, close friends, priests, until there was no survivor. See? Further, you wicked coon sellout, wicked jakes, you're done. Then he set out and went to Samaria. On the way he met Baal of the shepherds. Yahu met relatives of King Ahaziah of Judah and said, Who are you? They answered, We are in Ahaziah, who came down to visit the royal prince. The queen's mother, he said, Take them alive. They took them alive and slaughtered them. Yeah, man, for trying to pay homage to the Queen of Heaven. That slaughtered them at the pit of Bethlehem, 42 in all. He spared none. When he left there, he met Jehonadab, son of Rechab, continued to meet him. He greeted him and said to him, Is your heart as true as mine? Is to yours? It is. And Yahu said, It is. So give me your hand. So he gave him his hand. Yahu took him up with the chariots. He said, Come with me and see my zeal for the Most High. So he and him riding a chariot. When he came to Samaria, he killed all who were left in Samaria until he would wait out according to the words of the Most High who spoke to Elijah. That's a sound northern kingdom uniting in this truth. Now it says the slaughter of the worshippers of Baal. Then Yahu assembled all the people and said to them, Ahab offered Baal small service, but Yahu will offer much more. Now therefore summon to me all the prophets of Baal worshipping. Let none miss, for I have a great sacrifice to offer Baal. Whoever is missing shall not live. Yeah, there you go, all you sun worshippers. But he destroyed the worshippers of Baal. Yahu decreed, sanctified a solemn assembly for Baal, so they proclaimed it. Yahu sent word throughout all Israel. All the worshippers of Baal came, so that there was no one left who did not come. They entered the temple of Baal until the temple of Baal was filled from to the wall. Basically, all the sun worship people to the wall. He said to the keeper of the wardrobe, Bring out the vestments for all the worshippers of Baal. So he brought them out, the vestments for them. Then Yahu entered the temple of Baal with Jehonadab, son of Rechab, son of the northern kingdom. He said to the worshippers of Baal, Search and see that there is no worshippers of the Lord among you, but only worshippers of Baal. And they proceed to offer sacrifice of burnt offering. Now Yahu had stationed 80 men outside, saying, Whoever allows any of those who escape whom I deliver into your hand shall forfeit his life. As soon as he had finished presenting the burnt offering, Yahu said to the guards, Come in and kill them, and let no one escape. So they put them to the sword. The guards and the officers threw them out, and then went into the citadel of the temple of Baal. They brought out the pillars that was in the temple of Baal and burned it. Then they demolished the pillar of Baal and destroyed the temple of Baal and made it a latrine disgrace to this day. See? Yes, some worship is abomination. This is here today. Thus Yahu wiped out Baal from Israel, but Yahu did not turn aside from the sins of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, which caused Israel to err the golden calves that were in Bethlehem and in Dan. The Most High said to Yahu, Because you have done well in carrying out what I consider right, and in accordance with all that was in my heart, have dealt with the house of Ahab, your sons of the 4th generation shall sit on the throne of Israel. But Jehu was not careful to follow the laws of the Most High Yahu of Israel with all his heart. He did not turn from the sins of Jeroboam, which he caused Israel to sin. Those sins are the fleshly desires, fornication, sexual immorality, and giving in to your fleshly desires of your heart and your mind. Death of Jehu says, In those days the Most High began to trim off parts of Israel. Hazael defeated them through the territory of Israel, from Jordan east to Galilee to the Reubenites, and all the way to Manasseh and Orah, which is by the Wadi. Basically, your people reverted again. Aren't all the acts of the rest of the acts of Yahu, are they not in the power? Then all his power are written in the books of annals of the kings of Israel. So Yahu slept with his ancestors, and they buried him in Samaria. So his son Jehoahaz succeeded him. The time that Yahu reigned over Israel and Samaria was 28 years. Okay, hallelujah. Hope this was edifying. On a note, I'll say shalom.